For 5 years, my sister was tormented, mocked, humiliated, and isolated by the same classmates who applauded her at graduation. She made me promise, don't fight back. Just let me walk that stage. So I waited. Until the ceremony. I walked on stage, plugged in a USB, and played a 6-minute compilation, hidden chats, video clips, anonymous confessions. Laughter turned to screaming. Parents pulled their kids off stage. 3 students lost scholarships. 1 was expelled. By morning, the school's website crashed and my inbox was flooded with 200+ please delete it emails. I walked on stage with a USB at my sister's graduation, then played the compilation that made the valedictorian cry, 3 students lose scholarships, and the school website crash overnight. They were clapping for her like they hadn't spent 5 years turning her life into a daily humiliation reel. That's what broke me. They stood in that high school auditorium, parents, teachers, the same pack of smirking seniors, and they clapped. Cheered. Like they didn't spend middle school taping used pads to her locker. Like they didn't nickname her Mop Girl because of one goddamn accident in 7th grade. She told me not to fight back. Let me walk that stage, Mikey, she said the night before, hugging her knees in the kitchen while Mom pretended not to hear. Just let me get through it. Please. So I did. For 5 years. I kept the files. I logged the usernames. I bookmarked the posts and saved the messages and took screenshots of the anonymous confession pages they thought were funny. I tracked the fake accounts. I downloaded the Snapchats before they disappeared. I archived everything every time they turned my sister's name into a punchline. And then I waited. My sister, Lucy, was the kind of kid who used to narrate her life out loud. I remember being 10 and hearing her in the next room pretending to be a space explorer in a shoebox ship made of Lego pieces. She was weird in the purest way. Not quirky influencer weird. Just unfiltered, daydreaming, hand-me-down hoodie weird. Middle school? That's when it started. The tampon stunt happened on a rainy Wednesday. Some sophomore girls taped one to her locker, stained with ketchup, and wrote filthy in Sharpie across the door. No one stopped them. Not the gym teacher. Not the hall monitor. Lucy just wiped it off, went to math class, and stared at her desk like her body was betraying her. I didn't find out until I saw her diary. Yeah, I know. Low move. But it was open. Half-written. Page title, If I Disappeared Tomorrow, Would Anyone Notice? I was 14. I copied every page. Scanned them. Stored them in a hidden folder called Insurance. High school was worse. She stopped bringing lunch after one of the girls, Amanda T. took a picture of her eating a homemade sandwich and captioned it, Charity Meal for Dumpster Rat. Got 187 likes in an hour. The school did nothing. Amanda's mom was on the PTA. I reported it under a fake name. Got back a canned email, after review, this does not violate our code of conduct. Lucy stopped eating at school. Instead, she sat under the library stairs reading old fantasy novels and pretending food didn't matter. I started sneaking her snacks in her backpack. Protein bars, crackers, candy when I had it. I was 2 years older and felt useless. Angry all the time. Punched a wall once and had to explain the dent to Dad, who laughed and called it puberty rage. Lucy said, don't do anything. They want a reaction. So I didn't. I just documented. Amanda T. and her friends? They had a private Instagram where they rated people's bodies. Called it Crop or Keep. Lucy was posted there 6 times in 1 semester. Every post more vicious than the last. I archived them. Every comment. Every like. I was learning. Watching. Planning. Senior year, Lucy hit a wall. She tried to drop out. Said the bathroom stalls were the only place she felt safe. The guidance counselor handed her a pamphlet and said, have you tried journaling? I stepped in then. Got her therapy. Paid for it myself with money from my job at the auto shop. She started seeing a woman named Carla who actually listened. Who told her she wasn't broken. Who helped her claw her way back to breathing. Lucy started drawing again. Weird, sprawling pencil art. She stopped crying at night. She stopped flinching when we went out in public. She made it to graduation. Barely. And that's when she told me the plan. Don't fight them, Mikey. Don't ruin the day. Just let me walk. Let me smile. Let me feel like I survived. I promised. But I didn't promise not to finish it. The ceremony was held in the school gymnasium. Blue banners. Rental chairs. Teachers in dollar store robes. My parents were stiff and quiet, we don't talk much these days. Dad brought his Nikon. Mom was crying like she earned it. Lucy was near the front in her gown, eyes locked straight ahead. Amanda T. was valedictorian. Of course she was. The speech was a sick joke. Amanda talked about kindness, resilience, community. She cried at the podium. She said, we're a family and I'll miss each of you like a sister. I looked at Lucy. She was biting her lip so hard it bled. So I stood up, walked quietly to the AV table near the back, plugged in a USB, hit play. 6 minutes. 6 minutes of hell. Clips, screenshots, voice messages. An entire timeline of abuse. Dates, faces, usernames. Overlaid with screenshots of Amanda and her clique mocking disabled students, photoshopping nudes, threatening girls who wouldn't flirt back. Parents gasped. Teachers froze. Then it got worse. One of the anonymous confessions read aloud by a voice modulator said, we bullied her because it was easy. She never fought back. That made it fun. You could hear the oxygen leave the room. Amanda's mom started screaming. Lucy's bullies were sobbing, hyperventilating. Someone unplugged the projector too late. The damage was done. A teacher tried to usher me out. I held up a file folder. Copies. With timestamps. Already emailed. Local press too. Enjoy. 3 students lost scholarships. Amanda got expelled. The school website crashed that night from traffic. Lucy trended on TikTok the next morning. My inbox? 213 emails. Please take it down. She didn't deserve this. You're ruining our lives. No. I didn't ruin anything. You did. I just finally pressed play. Update 1. I thought the USB would be the end. Then the school board called a meeting, Amanda's dad lawyered up and someone tried to expose me. But I had one more file and it shut everyone down cold. So, the minute I left that gymnasium I figured I'd made myself a permanent legend or a permanent target. Maybe both. I didn't go to the after parties. Didn't even go home right away. I drove Lucy out to the lake. The same place we used to ride our bikes when we were kids before the world went gray on her. We sat on the hood of my car, her in that wrinkled graduation gown, legs swinging off the bumper. She didn't cry. Just stared at the water and whispered thank you like she was scared it might break the spell. That night, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I turned it off after the 3rd call from a number labeled unknown. Lucy fell asleep curled in the passenger seat and I let her. I stayed up. Just thinking. See, the thing about revenge is people think it ends when you throw the punch. It doesn't. It starts when the dust settles and everyone decides whether to burn it all down or pretend it never happened. Day 1, local fallout. The clip got uploaded anonymously to YouTube before I even left the parking lot. Not by me. Someone screen recorded it from the back row. It got re-uploaded on Reddit, TikTok, Twitter, you name it. High school graduation hijack became a tag. By noon the next day, the school's website was toast. Their server crashed under traffic and comment spam. Lucy's name was everywhere. Mostly kind comments, survivors sharing their own stories, kids saying finally someone said it. But mixed in were trolls, threats, and a bunch of you're exaggerating takes. Amanda's parents didn't waste time. By 2 p.m., a lawyered-up statement hit the school's social media. These accusations are false and defamatory. We are pursuing legal action against the individuals responsible. I read it with a smile. Because the individuals responsible had receipts. I didn't just dump a compilation out of spite. I had a spreadsheet. Over 500 entries. With metadata. Time logs. Cross-referenced account usernames with Wi-Fi logins from the school system. Lucy didn't even know how deep I'd gone. It wasn't just bullying. It was negligence. On an institutional level. Day 2, the board meeting. They called it emergency community response. Really, it was a panic scramble. The principal, Mr. Leary, who once told Lucy some kids just invite drama, was shaking behind the mic. The PTA president looked like she hadn't slept. They tried to shift the tone. Said they were deeply saddened and reviewing their policies. That's when I stood up. Yeah. I went. Not to cause a scene. Just to remind them I was still watching. I brought a manila envelope. Labeled supplemental evidence. Slid it across the table to the superintendent. She looked at it like it was radioactive. This isn't just about a few mean kids, I said. This is about a system that let it happen. Encouraged it. Rewarded it. A mom shouted from the back, they're just teenagers. They make mistakes. I didn't flinch. You're right, I said. So where are the adults in charge of teaching them better? Silence. Dead airless silence. That night, Amanda's dad posted a Facebook rant calling me a vengeful little punk with too much free time. He threatened to expose the real story. Which was funny. Because the real story was worse than he thought. Day 3, retaliation. Someone doxed me. My email, phone number, even a photo of me from 3 years ago in a marching band hoodie. Guess they figured if they humiliated me enough, I'd back off. Didn't work. My inbox got spammed with fake job offers, junk links, malware traps. I got a call from some podcast producer asking if I wanted to tell my side. I said no. I had one more card to play. See, I'd been saving a backup. A video that didn't make it into the original compilation. Too heavy. Too long. It was from Lucy's freshman year. A 23-minute video secretly recorded by one of the boys in Amanda's friend group during a sleepover. It showed them planning a prank they later denied ever doing, one that involved spray painting slurs on another girl's locker and blaming it on Lucy. I sent it to Amanda's lawyer. No response. Then I sent it to the school board. Still no response. Finally, I sent it to a local journalist who'd emailed me after the graduation story went viral. She published it the next morning with a headline that made my coffee taste sweeter. New video exposes premeditated harassment by valedictorian and friends, district silent amid outcry. And just like that, they went dark. Amanda's family pulled her from the spotlight. Deleted her social accounts. Their lawyer withdrew. She lost her internship at the mayor's office. Columbia rescinded her admission. That was confirmed by a tweet from a student rep. We do not tolerate conduct that endangers others. But it wasn't just Amanda. Her 2 closest friends, Kayla and Trent, had been accepted to programs with strict honor codes. They got flagged. One lost a full ride. The other was deferred indefinitely. Another girl transferred high schools overnight. The ripples didn't stop. A few students came forward quietly, told me they'd known what was happening, that they felt guilty, that they didn't know how bad it had gotten. I didn't forgive them, but I didn't out them either. Lucy said let them live with it. That's enough. Last night, the visitor. Around 10:30 there was a knock on my door. I opened it and saw Principal Leary. He looked wrecked. Shirt wrinkled. Tie loose. Not the smug man who ignored every report Lucy ever filed. He didn't ask to come in. Just stood there and said I resign tomorrow. I waited. I knew he had it. Not everything. But enough. Enough to stop it. He handed me a letter. I haven't opened it yet. Lucy's asleep. I'll let her decide. But here's what I know. This isn't over. There's still the superintendent, the district, the policies that failed every kid like Lucy. And I've still got files. So many files. Say the word, Reddit. I've got Update 2 locked and loaded. Trust me, this story's just warming up. Update 2, the school tried to offer restorative justice. Amanda's mom showed up crying. Then a teacher slipped me a thumb drive that changed everything, including what I thought I knew about my sister's worst year. 2 weeks after the graduation incident, the district scheduled a private meeting. No press. No cameras. Just a half-circle of red-faced administrators, Lucy, me, and Carla, her therapist, thank God. They called it a restorative process. Said it was about healing, not punishment. Bull. Shit. I walked in with a binder labeled Chronology of Neglect. Lucy walked in with scars nobody could see, but she wore her best thrifted blazer and sat like a steel beam in a storm. Amanda didn't show. Her mom did. Her eyeliner was smudged on purpose. Like she wanted us to see the emotional labor she was doing. She kept saying things like, we didn't raise her to be this way and this isn't who Amanda is. Lucy didn't blink. I didn't speak for the first 20 minutes. Just watched. The principal was gone, resigned, as promised. In his place, the vice principal, Ms. Gallows, who had written Lucy up once for disruptive crying in class. Now she was trying to play mediator. Lucy, if you could express what kind of closure you'd like. Lucy stared her down. Closure would have been not wanting to unlive myself in a school bathroom. Dead. Silence. Amanda's mom sobbed harder. Ms. Gallows shifted gears. What about community reconciliation? Perhaps a statement of. I cut in. What about policy reform? They blinked. I handed them a printed list. Public acknowledgement of the school's failure to address harassment. Mandatory anti-bullying and digital literacy training for staff. A publicly accessible hotline for reporting abuse not routed through school administration. Third-party audits every semester. You'd think I demanded the moon. They tried to say they'd look into it. That's when Lucy pulled out her phone and hit play. It was the full 6-minute graduation video. She let it play in the silent room, the sound of Amanda's voice melting into the montage of cruelty. She watched them squirm through every second. Then she said, you let them write the story. I just stole the pen. That night, I got an email from a burner account. Subject, not all of us were blind. Attached was a scanned letter from a teacher, name redacted, who'd been quietly trying to report Amanda's group for over a year. Each complaint was redirected or buried. The last line read, they have friends in high places. But not everyone's scared anymore. 2 days later, I found an envelope taped to my windshield. Inside? A thumb drive. No return address. Just a sticky note, trust is earned. Use this wisely. What was on it broke me. Not in the way I expected. It was a folder labeled, year 9 / lockercam / archive. Video files. Unedited. Security footage the school never admitted to having. Turns out some genius in IT had quietly routed hallway footage into a personal archive. Why? No clue. Maybe they'd seen too much. Maybe they were waiting for someone like me. I watched the first clip, then the second, then 30 more. Lucy, 14 years old. Walking with her head down, books clutched to her chest. You see Amanda slam into her. Accidental. Lucy falls. Papers scatter. You see Kayla recording. You see a teacher watch and walk away. There was one file I nearly stopped watching halfway through. Lucy cornered in a supply closet. Amanda's voice saying, let's see if you cry with the lights off. Laughter. Footsteps. The door closing. Darkness. It ran for 3 minutes. No one came. She never told me. I sat on the floor of my room and cried until my ribs hurt. When I told her, Lucy said, I thought if I told you, you'd never let me go back. She was right. The next morning, I contacted a civil rights attorney. Zoe Mathis. Had worked cases like this before. Her first words? You've got a bomb. Now let's learn where to drop it. She laid out our options. We could sue. On multiple grounds: negligence, civil rights violations, infliction of emotional distress. The video evidence was airtight. We could also push for a state-level audit. Use the footage to show a systemic failure, not just isolated incidents. Zoe said this could set precedent. Lucy hesitated. Won't they just say I'm doing it for attention? I looked at her. Really looked at her. No. You're doing it for every kid who thinks being silent is safer. She didn't speak for a while. Then said, okay, let's light the match. Week 3, the fallout spreads. We filed a lawsuit. Didn't name Amanda directly. Named the district, the school, and select staff with demonstrated negligence. Attached the files, the footage, the emails from the anonymous teacher. We sent it to every major local outlet. The story exploded again. Parents who'd dismissed the first video as one-sided couldn't ignore timestamps and security cams. 3 teachers were put on leave. Ms. Gallows? Resigned. A new investigation opened statewide. Turns out 3 other schools in the district had similar missing file problems. Complaints that went nowhere. Bullying that got rebranded as conflict between peers. One parent wrote on Facebook, "I used to think my son was just being sensitive. Now I think he was being failed." Lucy didn't smile, but she looked lighter, like the weight had shifted. But the retaliation started up again. This time, they went for character. Rumors on Reddit, Discord, even Whisper. Claims that Lucy had faked the bullying. That I'd edited the footage. That we were funded by an agenda. Amanda's mom started a Facebook group, Justice for Our Kids. I joined. Under a fake name. They were planning to reveal the full truth. I smiled. Because I had one last move. Remember that group chat Amanda's friends used to coordinate the confession pages? Turns out one of their admins flipped. Kayla. She DM'd me out of the blue. Said she'd seen the footage. Said she had a little brother now. Said she wanted to make it right. She sent me screenshots. Audio messages. Even a voice memo of Amanda saying, "If Lucy thinks I'm done, she doesn't know who she's messing with." Guess what was playing in the background? The same Taylor Swift song from her graduation speech. Perfect. I compiled it all. Handed it to Zoe. She smiled for the first time since we met. Let's make sure the apology isn't optional this time. This Monday, the district voted. Unanimously. A full external audit. Staff-wide retraining. And mandatory policy reform by the end of the semester. But the real kicker? Amanda's mom shut down the Facebook group. Why? Because someone leaked her emails. Turns out she'd threatened the school board in 2022, said they needed to keep things quiet or risk a funding review. Screenshots. Verified. Distributed. The press jumped on it. Suddenly we weren't the story anymore. They were. And Lucy? She slept through the news cycle. She's drawing again. Watercolor now. Softer stuff. Flowers. Forest's hope. She told me I feel like I can exhale. We're not done. Zoe says we could take it higher, maybe push for state legislation. But Lucy's tired. And honestly, so am I. Not from the fight, but from the years we didn't know how to start it. You want update 3? I'll give it to you. Because there's one thing I haven't told anyone yet. About that video. The one in the supply closet. There's something in the audio. A voice. One I didn't recognize at first. But now I do. And it changes everything. Final update. I thought it was over after the USB. Then I heard the voice on the closet tape. A teacher saying, "Hold her in there." What followed tore apart the school, a family, and everything I thought I understood about my sister's survival. People think justice is loud. Courtroom gavel. News headline. Viral clip. But in real life, it's quiet. Awful. Cold. Justice feels like sitting on your bedroom floor at 3 a.m. Replaying audio you wish you'd never heard. Cleaning up static, running noise filters. Turning the volume up just enough that the world breaks a little more. I didn't expect to hear anything new when I reviewed the supply closet footage. I thought I knew it all. But when I isolated the audio and pushed through the fuzz, there it was. A man's voice. Low. Casual. Like he was reading the lunch menu. Hold her in there. Not a student. Too old. Too composed. Too familiar. I played it 3 more times just to be sure. I knew that voice. Mr. Vance. Lucy's AP English teacher. Beloved. Worshipped. The kind of guy who quotes Bukowski during pep rallies and gets standing ovations. The one who told Lucy she was a natural lyricist. Who wrote her glowing college recs. Who gave her makeup extensions when she had panic attacks and couldn't finish essays. The man she said made school bearable again. Now I had his voice whispering behind a closed door, giving the okay for my sister to be locked in a closet. I didn't confront Lucy right away. What do you even say? Hey, that teacher you trusted, the one who was nice when no one else was, might have been complicit in your worst memory? No. Instead, I sent the file to Zoe, my sister's lawyer, friend, pitbull in heels. She didn't hesitate. This changes everything. Let me back up. After the second video went public, the one with security footage proving Lucy had been deliberately targeted, we'd filed a lawsuit against the school district. Named specific faculty. Demanded policy reform. Got teachers placed on leave. School board meetings flooded with reporters. And angry parents scrambling to justify why their honor roll kids had been monsters. We thought the worst was behind us. Then the thumb drive came. From a mystery teacher, left on my windshield. That's where the closet footage came from. And that's what led to this final chapter. Zoe told me we had 2 options. Include Vance in the civil suit. Formally, cleanly, with paperwork and evidence. Drop the tape at the next board meeting. Publicly. Loudly. But it was Lucy's call. So I told her. Played the tape. Watched her freeze. Then slowly her shoulders slumped. I didn't think it was him, she whispered. But I remember someone outside the door. Someone laughing. She didn't cry, just sat there, eyes empty. Then, if he helped them, I need people to know. The school board meeting was packed. The press showed up before we even parked. I wore the same hoodie from graduation day. Lucy wore a blazer that didn't quite fit but made her stand straighter. Zoe walked in like she owned the place. We didn't play the whole video, just the clip, just the voice. Then Zoe turned to the board and said, "We believe this is Mr. Vance. We have a voice analysis backing that up. And we have 2 additional former students ready to testify that he enabled similar incidents, ones that were never reported." A board member asked for proof. We handed them transcripts. Another asked if we'd considered the damage this could do to a career. Zoe didn't blink. Ask yourselves what damage he already did. Mr. Vance was suspended that night. 3 days later, 2 more students came forward. One said Vance had watched her get mocked in class for a speech impediment and told her, "Real poets speak less anyway." Another said he used to assign partners tactically, so that shy kids ended up next to the ones who picked on them. Said it built resilience. What the hell kind of teacher calls abuse resilience? Lucy was quiet through it all. Then she asked to speak at the next public forum. I tried to talk her out of it. Not because I didn't think she could, but because I'd seen what the internet did to survivors who spoke out. She said, "They already turned me into a symbol. I might as well give them the full story." That night was unlike anything I've ever witnessed. Lucy stood at a folding microphone with a binder in her hands and a hand-drawn sketch of the supply closet taped to her notebook. She read, slowly, the names of the students who had mocked her, filmed her, left her bleeding in stairwells. Then she said, "I survived because my brother saved every file. Because a stranger handed him a thumb drive. Because one teacher broke ranks. But don't you dare credit the system. It buried me. I clawed out." Then she paused, looked up, and said, "And Mr. Vance? You quoted Bukowski a lot. Here's one for you. Some people never go crazy. What truly horrible lives they must lead." Dead silence. Then, out of nowhere, applause. Real. Raw. From kids, mostly. Not the adults. Not the PTA parents who whispered about Lucy being fragile. Not the board members looking for damage control. But the students. The ones who had stayed quiet. Who needed someone to say it out loud. Fallout came fast. Mr. Vance resigned. The district settled. 6-figure payout. Full implementation of new anti-harassment policy. Anonymous reporting system established. Third-party audits locked in. Lucy didn't care about the money. She donated half to a mental health fund for students. The other half? She used to launch a local nonprofit, the Second Voice Project, art therapy and legal aid for students experiencing school-based trauma. She says it's not revenge. It's insurance. Amanda? Still offline. Kayla? Transferred schools. Quietly. Trent? Deleted every account, posted one weird apology on LinkedIn of all places. But that's not the point. The point isn't that Lucy won. The point is that she endured. And then she changed the game board. It's quiet now. Too quiet sometimes. Lucy spends hours painting. Me? I sleep again. Sort of. We're not healed. But we're not hiding. That matters more. Last week I got a letter. A marked envelope. No name. Just a short note in tidy script. I knew what they were doing. I didn't stop them. "I'm sorry. I thought ignoring it would keep me safe. But silence is its own kind of violence. Tell Lucy she made us braver. No return address." I showed it to her. She smiled. Then burned it. Didn't need the words. Just the shift. "You want closure? Here it is." The school they laughed in is now covered in murals. One of them? Lucy's. A girl walking out of a dark door, trailing a wire behind her, hooked to a speaker, blaring the truth. Underneath it, in sharp, stenciled letters. "Play the tape. Because some stories only get told when someone dares to press play. And some voices will never be silent again." Thanks for listening, Reddit. We're not mistakes. We're proof.